And talk to us about the relationship as you see it between anti-Semitism, which is really, again, I think a topic relevant right now, and Zionism.
They're obviously intertwined, kind of like a strand of DNA, and it's very hard to think about one piece of the strand without the other. And clearly, you know, when Chaim Nachman Bialik writes that first poem that he ever publishes in 1882, To the Bird, and he speaks to this bird that's kind of figuratively flown to his windowsill from the warmer climes of the Middle East, and he says, does dew still fall like pearls on Mount Hermon, which he said by quoting the Bible? Does God still have mercy on Zion, quoting the Bible? Again, he'd never been there, but he kind of knew the valleys and the rivers and the peaks, and because he'd read the Bible so much. But then he also asks, do calamities also happen there the way they happen here? And he writes from a kind of a place of a broken heart. And that's why he becomes almost overnight a sensation, and Jabotinsky later said that it was Chaim Nachman Bialik more than anybody else who had the capacity with a pen to capture the soul and to describe the soul of the Jewish people. It would be nice to say that at a certain point Zionism moved beyond that and it became its own thing without having to depend on or react to anti-Semitism. The tragedy of the world is that the world's never given Zionism an opportunity to do that. In other words, anti-Semitism keeps morphing. It's one of these strange viruses that morphs a lot, and they have the virus, and we die from it. But it's it's really true. But it's motivated at the beginning by anti-Semitism, but it's still affected by anti-Semitism. In my neighborhood, if you walk around now in an afternoon and take a little walk, you hear something very different than what you heard 4 or 5, 6 years ago. You hear a lot of French. And there's a lot of things that are wonderful about that. The bakeries are much better than they used to be. And it's a gorgeous language, but it's sad and it's sobering because you hear the French and you realize the Jews are fleeing Europe again. I mean, it's 2016, and in the lifetime of some people in this room, Jews fled once before, and now they're fleeing again, and there's something horrifyingly sober about that. So what I try to say in the book is that Zionism is really not about anti-Semitism. Zionism is about the Jewish people returning to its ancestral homeland to reimagine itself. What would we like Judaism and Jewishness to be when we set the terms, when we speak our own language, when we set our own calendar, when we make the laws, we govern, theoretically, most of it. That's what I think really the essence of this movement really is. Tragically, in history, though, it's been very hard to separate it out from repeated waves and different forms of anti-Semitism.